So I got one of them over here on the flesh and beam now, and we'll start fleshing here. So the face is pretty hard to do. I'm not very good at it at all. I don't want to put holes in it, so I just get it as good as I can. I basically just get all the fat off. Then once you get behind the eyes like that, it starts to come off pretty good. Take it all the way to the ears. So I'll show you how I do the ears. I actually learned all of this from a guy that I found on YouTube. I think his name's 5591 Ryan. He's from Canada. He's got a YouTube channel that I found a while ago, and I taught myself from learning what he told me, basically how he said he did it on his videos. And I'm not the best at it yet, but I've done only probably 15 coyotes. He catches hundreds a year, and he's been doing it for a long time. So all of this is, I'm still learning, and I do my ears the same way he does his. This ear's a little bit screwed up from when they skun this coyote, but we're gonna take the cartilage out. So what you do is pull the ear through like this. I guess it's not supposed to be like that yet, but so what you do is skin the coyote's ear all the way out to the cartilage. I'll bring it a little closer here. So I'm just skinning real quick out to the cartilage on both sides of this ear. And then from the way that it's laying in the top, you just cut straight in through the cartilage. And then that ear should come out like this. So now you got the ear out, and you lay it just like this on your hand, flat on your hand, the inside of the ear up, the back side of the ear in your palm. And then once you get to the inside of the ear here, you just kind of skin both ways, both sides of the ear, till you can get the ear, basically the cartilage out, and then you grab a pliers. So I just grabbed this pliers here, nothing special, just the first one I found, but just grab and pull gently. And the ear won't always tear the way you want it to, just like that. I kind of see I ripped that ear. I might be able to salvage it here if I work from this side, but when you sell coyotes, they don't keep the ears anyways, so that the ears aren't important to look nice. So if that wouldn't have tore, you can see the first days on the back side of the coyote ear, and then the inside of the coyote ear, the furs, the cartilage is gone, and that'll help it dry. So I'm doing the other ear now, and you don't always need a pliers. You can just get in there, get your fingers in there, and those ears will separate pretty easily. And a lot of times, if you're careful and patient, they'll split right on the edge of that ear like that. So now I'm to the mouth, and I got done with the face, so I'm going to head around the bottom of the mouth, and you'll actually take and cut most of that off, so you don't have to worry about fleshing too close to the actual like chin, I guess you could call it. It's kind of difficult to do that anyways because it's hard. There's nothing to really push in with your sternum here, but I'm just going to work around the bottom of that, and then should be smooth sailing from then on. And the point of this really is to just take the all this fat off. This fat prohibits the fur, the skin from drying when you put it on a fleshing board or the stretching board. We don't want any of that on there. It won't tan as good. When it tans, it'll be really stiff if it's on there. So the neck, we're almost done with the neck now. This one's actually fleshing pretty easy. And you kind of can tell when you're done fleshing, it gets that, you can hear a difference. And you can see a difference. Recommended. I think it cost me like 75 bucks, so it's not a cheap knife, but if you want to do this right, it's the best knife to have. The armpits are really sensitive. The thin skin is very thin, so you kind of got to lighten up. Don't put as much pressure when you get in the armpits, but we're going to take this as far as we can all the way to the leg like that, and then we'll stretch the leg over. So I got the leg stretched over now. You can see this is the leg. Stretch it over the beam like that. There's really not too much. If you skin it right, there's not too much on the leg. There's a big hole there from a bullet I'm gonna have to be careful with, but keep rotating that around. And then I'm getting to the armpit now, so it's very, very thin and easy to put a hole in. So I'm gonna lighten up pressure a little bit. And you can feel that the skin is thin, because you can feel there's less fur on the other side. You can feel that the knife is hitting the board, making contact with it. So you know kind of if you pay attention to the knife, kind of tells you what needs. So if you can feel the board, you're probably going to put a hole in it. So you gotta, it doesn't take much, like I'm barely pushing there. So then usually the way I like to do holes is, if you push through the hole, you'll just kind of stretch the hole out if you don't do it right. So I like to push right kind of at an angle along the hole. So I'm not pulling the skin, I'm just kind of going along the rim of the hole. And you just go easy. And you don't need you just need the knife to bite it and it'll kind of peel off. It's not too much of a scraping. So like right here, there's some fat I want to get off. But that hole is kind of causing an issue because there's a big exit hole there. But just take your time and don't rush. So I'm getting basically to the back and the belly now, and this is where you can get a little bit more aggressive, push a little harder. But if the pelt is, you don't want to do it frozen, so if you freeze them, let them thaw all the way out. But you can see that's all just flat, a flap of fat. And it's important to keep your knife clean, because you can see here a little, there's like a muscle, and then under that muscle there's kind of a fatty layer, and it really clogs up your blade like that. So all that's got to come off, and that fat comes off really easy. It's just kind of like cold butter. So you don't even really have to push that hard to get it off, but just a couple good long strokes like that will get that. Nipples here, you want to be careful. You can put holes in there. Most of the time, if I do a female that has had pups, the nipples just kind of pop off and there's like a pea-sized hole, which I don't worry too much about, because if you're gonna sell them, they might care, but we don't sell them. We every coyote we've killed, we've tanned and put on the wall. So we're not too worried about the holes. And where we send them to tan is, I think it's USA Fox and Fur. If there's a big hole like this one in the armpit, they'll actually stitch that up. Like every once in a while it gets disorienting kind of where you're at, because you're always rolling it around and then you get long fat hangers like this that need to be trimmed off. So now I'm getting towards the last little bit, and the tail is where I'm coming up to here. And kind of what you want to do to keep it even is like a kind of a tail's right here. Kind of go left, left, right, right, and switch from left back to right, back and forth, and that works out pretty well. Usually right after you're done skinning, you zip the tails. So I'm gonna go grab the tail zipper because this one's not done, and zip it. So here's the tail zipper. If you do this and you don't have one, you can just use a knife, but it's only a couple bucks, and it literally is so easy and fast that I don't know why you wouldn't just spend a couple bucks to buy a tail zipper, because it just splits the tail real nice. So now that I got the tail zipped, I'm going to continue the left-right thing, and then you got to do the tail too, but got to be careful not to tear it off. So I usually put the top of the tail right at the top of the board, get some good pressure with my chest, and just kind of easily. I usually only run it a couple times because the tails are pretty lean anyways, and there's not a lot of fat in there, but there is some, so if you can get it, it helps. One nice thing about the zipper is the tail always gets cut pretty straight. With the knife, a lot of times you'll slip off to the side and you'll catch a little tag with your fleshing knife now, and you'll rip the end of the tail off, which is not something you want to do. Especially some of these coyotes aren't mine. I'm doing them for guys, so they wouldn't like it too much if I screwed up their tail. So now I'm going to throw it on the fleshing board, or the stretching board.